Okay, guys, good afternoon. And it's been about a week since I've done any painting. And now here we are in the middle of the week, and I'm not sure how long we can go for, but we're going to give it a shot here. And we'll see where these things were left at because this palette has been closed for about a week. And we'll see what condition these things are in. And looks like it's still wet. So 1 week has gone by, and this is still plenty saturated. So anyhow, let's uh, let's do a couple things. Let's get our usual suspects here. We put everything away and get some brushes because what we're going to be working on is this fourth hussar. This is where I left off in the middle of sometime last week. So let's get us some brushes that are going to allow us to finish that. All right. As I like to say, let me take my glasses off so I can see. Let me take my glasses off so I can focus. All right. Let's see if we can adjust this angle a little bit. Let's loosen this up. As always, this is the painting improv show. Let's see if we can. Oh, it's gonna be like that, huh? All right. There we go. That should do it. All right. Let's see if we can focus on what we got here. So this is the hussar that. This is the. I'm sorry. This is the bowman that we were done for my Hungarians. We've got the other three that are done here. They're complete, other than being sealed. They haven't been sealed. So we've got a few more things to do on that, and then we can jump on these last two figures, which these are the hussar figures, and these are all Essex. So, all right. So let's put these three guys back, and we don't have much to do on this, and let's make sure that we're focused here and that we've got that going on there. And okay. So what do you got left? We've got some shoes to do on here. We've got a bow case. We've got a scabbard to do on a sword, and of course the hooves and all that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and jump into the arrow quiver. Arrow quiver is what I meant to say if I said something different. So okay, just use a standard brown. I know most of these colors we're probably going to have to reanimate them because it's been about a week. The painting palette stayed wet, but it was too much to ask for these colors. So let's put some new brown there, and let's move this out of the way so I don't knock these guys down. Okay, let's see how the black's hanging out. See how it's doing over here. It may still be alive because there was so much of it. And we're good. We can still use that. Okay, and paint us a little quiver thing. We're not going to use a crazy color or anything like that. These guys are not really rich folks, so we want to keep the bold colors to a minimum. That's how I envision them being anyway, so. So able to do painting kind of at a reasonable time for Europe. I got a couple people on here. I'm not sure if you guys are European, but took a half day of work today. Needed to use up my vacation days, and things really kind of this hurricane that headed towards us, which isn't really going to be an issue for us, other than creates a lot of chaos at work. So with everything canceling, I'm like, well, might as well use the opportunity to take a half a day off while I can. So can't use the days until can't use the days in a different year, and our calendar year ends at Christmas. So, and I'm already going to be off plenty of days in December, so can't really use them in December. So figured we'd do some painting here. Not doing any fancy stuff on this thing, just a standard, kind of a standard brown color. Nothing too elaborate. Let's get to something a little smaller. Now I went ahead and painted the scabbard the same color, but what we're going to do is we're going to veer off the color there and do it a little bit different. So we're going to take this same color that we did here. I know we don't have any white, so let me get some white down here. There's no way though. The white seems to dry faster than the black for some reason. And there's no way that it's going to be able to make it a whole week with this, even if this thing's closed. So we're going to take this color that we have right here. We're going to add white to it right now. Instead of adding more of the core color, we're going to go ahead and split off of it. I don't have any particular color that I wanted the scabbard to be, so just as long as it's a little different works for me. And that's pretty much it on that. And we're going to highlight it one more. Okay, maybe one more. Okay. All right, now we'll go back to where we were, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of like this. Adding that. All right, we were about there. So let's add a little bit more of that core color. And go back to doing the quiver, so to speak. And let's add a little bit of the straight up. color, that quiver. Okay, now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and do the same treatment here, but we're going to use it with just add a little bit of white there and highlight this. And again. What did we do on these guys? Okay, we did white on them. Got it. As far as the quiver color, come in here and get some black. Right, let's add a little bit more of that. All right. Let's get some shoes going with this guy. Let's see what we got here. What do we have here? Joe Coton. Tony in the afternoon, yes. Yep. I took a half day today, unexpectedly, kind of at the last minute. everything went to shit and canceled due to the storm. So I got about 5 days I got to use between now and sometime in November, and I'm already off the week of Thanksgiving. So I can't tie them in with the other 3 days of the week of Thanksgiving. It's too much to try to plan ahead. So figured I'd do some painting today because I haven't painted in a week. So that's why I'm here in this afternoon. Figured I'd do this first instead of other stuff so I don't burn out and not get this done. So might get a chance to see some real life Europeans here, because usually it's too late for that. So I figured there'd be a bunch of people online because I think Europe got a shutdown this week or the week before or something like that. So I figured there'd be all kinds of people sitting on their lily waiting for me to come online, but maybe not. All right, so we got some shoes there. And let's bring this up a little bit more. And look up and there's 4 people. Come on in, folks. Just doing a little bit of painting here. Hadn't painted in about a week. Real life stuff kind of kept that from happening, so. You guys sitting around with nothing to do, come on and paint along. And as always, comments, questions, always welcome. So the more entertained I am, the longer I'm going to paint. Okay, we need to go up a little bit more, maybe. Maybe just a little bit there. Okay. And I think we've been using like this buff color for not the reins, the stirrups. To brush up on my horse vocabulary. Make sure this is still there. Okay, cool. All right. I just started painting again, and now there's paints all over the place. Wish I'd learned to put some of these things away. Let's go ahead and put them away. Chaos, distracting chaos. So yeah, no game video this week. Had too many players. Had 6 players, so too many folks showed up. You can't make 4 people sit on their hands while 2 are playing. It doesn't really work. So, especially because half the players traveled from another city too. So, that wouldn't be cool. Like, hey, you came over here and you're not going to get to play. What? So, got to have some balance. We'll try again next week. I know some people can't even find somebody to play with, and we have too many players to film. So, well, you guys could do your own videos. solo video. Well, after this, all we got to do is socks on this dude. Well, we still got the reins to do, so we'll find a way to use the same similar color on the reins. There's no reason to mix up extra colors just for yucks, you know? Not really mixing up the colors, it's pulling them out of the bottle. If I'm looking for a certain color in particular, that's one thing, but if I don't really care that much, then, you know, I try to use whatever's already out here on the palette. Not really that important to me. Let's say Wednesday or Thursday of last week. Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of last week when I painted. I don't remember which one it was. It was one of those, so. None on the weekend. Went out of town, so couldn't really make that happen, so. So here we are trying to finish this guy because I'm tired of looking at this dude. The other guys we got to do have these fur hats, so we'll have to work that in there somehow. Haven't really looked into how to paint them. That's going to be kind of a thing among itself. All right, and we have a sword to do. Of course, that involves Mr. Bronze. Man, slow afternoon. The one time everybody decides to go to work. Okay. I think that's all the brass we need on this guy. This will work for the handle. Okay. You have the mane and stuff to do on them. We'll leave that for last. That one has none. This one has two, right? The front two. Let's do a couple on here. Let's get our color we've been using for the hooves. We've been using this stone gray. I believe this is the one. No, that's green gray. I guess that one will work as well. It's almost very similar color. Let's see, which one is it? It's on the table already. Hidden in plain sight. Okay. All right. Get us some black. And figured I'd do some painting before we end up having a day or so without power. Not that I'm expecting that to happen, but you never know. Winds aren't really an issue for here. It's just these damn trees, they don't cut back from the power lines, so they start swinging and we may lose power. Which isn't that big of a deal, except it's tied in with the air conditioner and it's, I don't know, probably 85 outside. It's super hot, so it's super hot for being overcast. Well, I think somebody was watching this and then ended up going to the bathroom and left it on, so got one lurker. And we're almost done with this guy anyway, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of research on how to paint the next guy so that we can feel comfortable with the decision that we made. So you want to get done with the figure and then look up how they were painted. So although you take that for with a grain of salt what they're painted like, because sometimes you just don't have enough information, or they'll show an example of the figure but only from one illustration or a stained glass window or something like that, and it's not necessarily representative of everybody that was dressed that way, what colors they used, but that's the thing. If you end up using something that's like on some kind of painting or something of the period, or a stained glass window, they don't have every single color available. So they may show something as being red when in reality it really wasn't, but they had to use the closest color they could come with. So just kind of use it as a guide and help you formulate your own decision on how you think how they should be painted. So. All right, sock time. Now, I believe that the core color that we used for the horse Find what my glasses are. Was this flat Earth? Sure looks like it. Oh, that's not it. There we go. And if it isn't, then it's close enough. Not really. Have to be that precise. Okay. We're gonna do 3 socks in this guy. How about that? How about let's do an odd number, right? I saw that one time. Somebody had painted a horse and it only had the socks on like one leg or something. And I was like, oh man, he totally forgot about doing that. And then I looked more into it and I'm like, oh, they could have only one leg or only the front two or, something like that. So, there. If you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. Doing a little bit of painting here with the Hungarian army here. Haven't painted in about a week. So, real life kind of gone away and try to get a little bit of paint done here, get back on track. I would like to finish this army sometime. Oh. All right, and a little bit more of this. Actually, you know what? Let's stop. Before I did that, let's take this color here. And we'll put some on his head there. Now we'll come in here and do this. Okay. Okay, that part's done there. We got all the little socks on them. Stephen Curry, welcome. You're a far better painter than I. I actually stick 8 figures on a popsicle stick. So I paint one at a time. That makes me better. No, I would do multiple figures on a popsicle stick, except that I need to get into all the places, and I'm afraid that um, having other figures in the way are going to be in my way to get to where I need to. So I don't like painting more than one figure at a time. I feel like I miss things. I'll forget to do like a scabbard or something like that when I'm kind of mass producing them, and I don't enjoy it. I really don't. I enjoy to do them one at a time, but you don't have to do it the way I do it. You can do it your own way. So that's uh, that's the beauty of freedom. You can do whatever the hell you want. That's how it should work, let's put it that way. Or do what works best for you. I tried to do some assembly line painting with the Spearman earlier and just got really bored. I got really bored painting one guy at a time. It used to be when I first started doing it, it was like, well, I didn't want to keep using the same paint, put the paint down here and then the paint dry out on me. But that isn't the issue anymore with the wet palette. So now it's just I'd rather have something to show for it. So I prefer to do it one at a time. So I do end up forgetting something. I ended up painting a Spearman, and I think I had to go back and paint, and I missed the scabbard on one guy or something like that. But I am the exception. Most people want to mass produce things, and I wish I could paint quicker, and that's um, that's not the way to get me to paint quicker. The way for me to get more done is really just to paint more often. There's several people out there that I kind of follow that how their painting is that I really like how they paint, and yeah, they're not painting any faster than I am. They're just painting more frequently. So that's all right. You just got to stick with it. So I unfortunately have not been able to paint in a week. Real life things came up, so this is kind of a fluke that I'm able to paint on an afternoon of a work day. So took a half day off to. I don't have a job where I can work from home, so I literally have to go in, and a lot of things canceled because of this wet weather headed this way. So figured I'd take the opportunity to use up some of these vacation days because I can't carry them over to next year. So I don't want to leave on a day that is super busy. I need to be there. So that's why it's weird that I would be painting at this time, because I am a Saturdays and Sundays off guy. So standard hours, anyways. Okay, a little bit more highlighting on this. Get this to pop out a little bit. And I think that'll be it when I'm done with this on this figure. So we'll have to boot up the computer and look at some pictures of these other guys, because they're kind of a weird looking, almost like a very Eastern looking figures. Not the figures necessarily, but what they're wearing. So yeah, so I'll do a little bit here. You want to look all that stuff up if you can. You don't want to get to the end of the project. Oh, maybe I'll look what they look at. Maybe I'll see what they look like now. Well, it's too late. You've already painted your army. So, okay, this guy's done. All right. We'll put them with the other ones. We're not going to spray them and seal them until all 6 are done. All right, so let's boot up the computer. And a couple things. Let me go get my book here. It literally describes this figure that they made the castings for. Essex did. So these are the figures that we talk about in question. These are not a one-piece casting, so therefore we'll put them each on a different horse. You know, if there's an option to make them look a little different, I'll do that, because they're already stuck. The human is the same pose. You know, he's looking one way and he's holding his sword up in the air. So, and these are some kind of hussars. So we're going to look in our Armies of the Middle Ages, Volume 2, on the Hungarians. So the figure that they built that from, that they sculpted that one from, is an illustration that's in here. So we just need to find where the Hungarians are in here. And I'll show you what that is here. Now, that's Ottomans. Here's the poles. They're near here somewhere. Okay, we're close by here. Okay, here's the figure that these arches I just got done was painted off of. This guy right here. Let's zoom this. Let's bring this up a little bit more. You guys can see. That's this figure here. The other four riding figures are exactly that pose, or based on that illustration. The other one of these guys here. This particular figure is this one down here. These two are this one right here. So let's read about them. Picture 85. 85 is from the picture of Lewis and his court in the front piece of the, no, in the frontispiece of the manuscript. What manuscript is this? Manuscript comes from Chronica de Getis Hungarorum of Mark Calti. These days more often referred to as the Kepis Chronica, or Illustrated Chronicle, a superbly illustrated manuscript produced for King Louis I the Great of Hungary, 1342 to 82, who in the course of his reign became, in addition, King of Poland, Bosnia, and parts of Serbia and Bulgaria. It has been supposed for many years that the illustrations were executed in 1374-76, but more recent analysis favors the early 1360s. Its author himself stated he began writing in 1358. The costumes here worn by 85 and 86, however, remained unchanged even in the first half of the 15th century. Okay, so here it says it basically remained unchanged. Okay, well, that's a little bit of background information because he looks like he's got some, he's wearing like a robe here with some details. So hopefully he talks a little bit about the colors there so we don't have to shoot completely in the dark. So this is figure 85. It's fairly certainly a Jazig, Jazygj, gee whiz, I did not have enough caffeine for this. Fairly certain a Jazygge, Jazig. Fairly certainly one of those guys, or a Kuman, or possibly a Zekler, or a Ruthenian, or even a Tartar. Geez, enough ors in there? All of these ethnic minorities serving in the Hungarian armies under their own chieftains throughout much of the period. He wears a long white kaftan with a blue pattern. Interesting, so he's wearing white. Blue lining and gold and blue panels on the upper arm. Oh, okay, he's got like little symbols here on the thing here, almost like, hello, my name is Georgi. Anyhow, the sleeves are quite long and occasionally shown even longer, hanging right over the hands as described under 80. I guess it's another figure there. In addition, he wears red boots. Ah, interesting, okay. Again, as they won't be bright red. They will be, muted because, like some guy riding around like he's freaking Santa Claus isn't going to look right. In addition, he wears red boots. The simple prick spurs are added from a 15th century source, and a light gray fur or sheepskin cap. Such caps assuming a bewildering array of shapes in this manuscript, probably originally denoting differences between the individual ethnic groups and subgroups. 85A through C shows just a small selection of the many different types to be found in the original, most of which have broad brims slit at the sides or front. In the original, he carries just a bow. The saber and quiver shown are being added from other pictures. The saber was popular, but by this date far from universal among the Asiatic elements of the army. Close proximity to the Ottomans, however, whose raids into Hungary began in 1389, brought something of a revival in its use, and it was via Hungary that the weapon was introduced into Poland and Russia on a widespread basis. Whatever the true identity of 85, there's absolutely no doubt that figure 86 is Kuman. Okay. All right, so this is the Kuman type hat that he's talking about. We don't have that figure. We've got this guy here. Okay. So and here's the other hats that we're talking about that they possibly have. But both of these figures are the same. They've got a fur hat that's, what do you say, light gray? Okay. Light gray and a white robe with blue, what do you call it? Blue patterns, okay? And what are those little blue panels? Gold and blue panels on the upper arm. All right, we could work with that. So we're gonna paint one guy exactly like that, and we're gonna paint a guy that's a little different than that, but still with the same theme. So we'll probably keep the same red type boots, but maybe we'll do like a pale yellow or something like with blue. So that's what I'm thinking. So he's gonna be mostly white or a light color. So there's no point in doing two horses that are also a light color, or it's just going to all kind of just blend together. That's the kind of artistic license things you just kind of have to figure out on your own and see what works. You don't want to get to the end of a project and realize, oh crap, this guy's all like one big bright blur. We want to, mix things up. So, all right, so we're going to have two horses that are going to be kind of dark color. We're going to make one of them black because we don't have a black horse yet. And we'll make the other one dark brown. How about that? All right. So we're gonna use this werewolf fur we don't use very often as one of them, and yeah, let's start on that one first. Perfect. That's how I make my stupid decisions on how to paint things. So it's just a little bit of what's the percolation that goes in my head. So and I think we're due for another drink. I'll be right back, and then we'll get started on this horse. Okay. Let's see what we got here. No comments. Okay, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little bit of reading about who these guys are. So yeah, a lot of these figures are based on the illustrations in many of these War Games research group books. Okay, this stuff right here. A lot of them are based on this stuff on here, not the other way around. So I understand these came out first, and then they built the figures around them. So if you look at the publication date of this, this is 1984. So I think I read somewhere that somebody told me that the guy that sculpted the Essex, I don't know whether this is true or not, but the guy that sculpted like the Essex figures, for instance, he went through and he wanted to do all of the poses that are included in all of these books. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That's pretty cool. If it is, there's certainly a very large similarity between them. But those are very valuable sources if you're going to be doing a lot of these ancients and medieval armies, stuff like that. So let's get on to paint this dude with the brown horse. All right. See if we can find us a spot that hasn't been clustered too bad. And we're going to replace this thing when we're done with these guys. So we get to do some patterns on them. Wee! I'm actually looking forward to that because that's the kind of sadist that I am. Other people will be like, I don't want to do that. Nope. I'm looking forward to it. Now, I'm not going to make it super complicated like it is on that illustration, but we'll do that right. So, all right, first things first, we got to do we'll do the horse. So that way we have kind of a backdrop to work off of. It's a lot easier to kind of get the colors all working right if you do that first. Oh, we got a little buggy that came in here. Get out of here. That's I don't know how he gets in the house. We have everything closed down. Let's just put one of these things over my bottle so I don't end up ingesting them and get too much protein. All right, right. Let's get some black here and get going on that. This is, what color was this? Werewolf Fur from Army Painters. I don't really like these paints. They're, it's not a color issue. I like the colors. I just don't like the consistency of them. But I got them, so we got to kind of use them. So they seem like they've got less pigment in them. They got more acrylic, less pigment. It seems to be that way. All right, so we're going to, no, we got to go darker than that. We got to go darker than that. Lurker Wednesday. It's all right. Hopefully, you guys are doing some painting of your own. Figured there'd be lots of people online. It's with the European shutdown. Of course, it may not have happened. I really didn't follow the news whether or not they went off, but that's what I heard. It was Europe was going to go into big shutdowns starting this week, I think. I don't really follow the news. The news needs to follow me. Just, I don't really keep up with any of it, so a lot happier that way. I figured need to get some painting done today. We may not have power tomorrow, so we'll see. This stupid storm's out there. Looks like it's OD'd on tequila and it's out there doing roundabouts. So looked like it was going to miss us, and now it's heading towards us. Which for us, we're far enough inland that all it means is the trees will start moving and they'll clip a power line, and we'll lose power for I don't know a week, one day to a week or something like that. I don't think it'd be a week, but it's a pretty low strength storm, so usually we don't have any issues with that. Not even flooding or anything like that where we're at. It's just the feeder wires end up getting compromised and we lose power. So that happened one time. I was finishing up my Nan Chow army, and we didn't have any power. Of course, I wasn't filming it. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I painted anyways. We didn't have any lights or anything, and I put on my little headlamp set with its LED powers with double A's and finished painting the army. So, which is always a possibility as long as it's not too hot. I don't paint when I'm hot, so you know. Oh, really? You're gonna fall off like that? All right. All right. Let me deal with this. The being incorrigible. I guess I could lower the fan, but I'm not going to. I just like it work. Let's do that. That should do it. All right. Yeah, this mindless painting phase isn't very exciting when you're painting everything all in one color. Okay. Let's bring this up. Those armies, those war games research groups, many of them were out of print for a while, and I understand that many of them are available now online. I don't know why things fall out of print. I hopefully they're available now through like Lulu, where they can just print on demand, and they don't have to order a bunch of things printed in advance and hope they sell. But print on demand seems like the way to go. So. You're watching and painting camps for Anglo-Danes, Vikings, and Western Franks or Norman. Pre-COVID, how healthy is ancient scathing and HMGS conventions? Do you have DBA tournaments? Um, so our shows that we do in Florida, we consistently have anywhere between. Well, it depends. So we have our show in Florida is structured. It's very structured. It's a 3-day event, and it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, really half a day Sunday, and each day there's set 4 hour periods that you can run your game. So your games either runs from 9 to 1, 9 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, or 2 to 6, or 8 to midnight. You can't have a 5 hour session or a 3 hour. I guess you could have a 3 hour one, just get done early, but you can't roll. You can't have more than a 4 hour session. So, with that said, we tend to run a DBA event in every session. So when we have our show in Orlando, we'll have 7 different events, pretty consistently throughout the last. Was it 2020? I'd say the last 7 years, maybe 8 years, maybe longer. But consistently, we have DBA. You can come all day to our shows and play DBA all weekend if that's what you want to do. Pretty consistently. So with that said, we always have at least 4 people playing, because some events sometimes there's 14, and some people want to play other games. I mean, there's other HMGS stuff at our HMGS South one that other people play. A few of us will just play DBA all the time, but most people will either just be off one day and can only come on Friday, or and they play all day Friday, or so consistently. I would say it would probably average about eight to 10 players every game, and sometimes with the same players, and sometimes they aren't. And that's with I hear the attendance is normally about 300. So, but what other Ancients games are being played that aren't DBA? Really none. So I don't know whether that just means Ancients really isn't a big thing, or, I never played Ancients until I played DBA, or Medievals for that matter. So, but we don't have really any other events that they've run Saga, Kirk tournaments and stuff like that. But, they come and go. We've consistently had DBA presence at every one of our shows since 2004. It might have even been before that, but I didn't start playing until 2004. And I can tell you that we've had DBA all the time. Freaking awesome. HMGS East is a little different situation. When we go up there, Mitch and I will try to run, and other people will try to run an event. And I think the last maybe 4 years after the 3.0 split, we try to run one in every event at Historicon. We don't go to the other. We don't go to Fall In or Cold Wars. They're too close to our other two conventions. So we'll do our Recon, which is in late April. We'll do Historicon, which is early to mid July, and then our other show here is called Hurricane, and it's in late September. So we consistently get 8 to 10 people, I would say. They have other interests, and some people start playing DBA and go on to something else, or got new players. It just most gamers are nomadic. There's one person I can think of, as a matter of fact, that I've known him a while, and he'll get into one thing and then sell all his other stuff and go into something else, and 2 years later he doesn't play that anymore, and he sold everything and moves on to something else, and that sort of thing. So, or some people are active duty and can't make all the shows, or they get deployed, or there's just lots of factors. So, but consistently 8 to 10 players, I would say. Now, and I would say even at Historicon, because there's just so many things to choose from Historicon to play. But yeah, pre-COVID, because who knows when we'll have another con? Because it's not up to any of us. It's just I don't think we'll have any shows in 2021, but that's just my feeling. That's kind of what I'm going with. I'm going to be kind of negative about it, because once they canceled Recon last year, I was just kind of got in my head we weren't going to have any more shows 2020, and I wasn't super disappointed. I wasn't like getting angry about it and stuff like that. So in my mind, we're not going to have any more shows. So we'll plan on attending them when they have them, and there's not any stupid restrictions put on you. I mean, I'm not gonna go to a show if I gotta wear a hazmat suit. If you're gonna put on a show and you have to wear a hazmat suit, then we're not gonna go to them. We'll go back to them when they're back to normal. But as long as they get back to normal, yeah, we'll go to them. We're not scared. Let's put it that way. But and I mentioned this in one of the other talks, the other painting sessions I had. It's not up to us. I mean, there's government restrictions that don't allow you to do it. I mean, you can't just break the law. And then there's you can't do really risky stuff when you're the convention organizer. I'm not involved in any of the organizing, nor do I want to be, but I know for a fact that you can't hold one of these events and then somebody gets sick or whatever, and then you got this is a litigious society, unfortunately. I wish we could go back to gunfights at 3 p.m. In the middle of the street instead of suing each other. But you can't put these things on in a really risky situation and end up getting, your club sued, because they're not a moneymaker, so there's no money there, kind of thing. And all the people that are organizing it are volunteers, so you've got that. And at least there are cons in Florida. They're based on a certain amount of people attending to cover the costs. And if they held a convention in, say, in January. Okay, our convention is in January, but they hold a convention in January. This is totally my estimate. I would say, and there was no restrictions from the government saying you can't do it. If the government says you do whatever the hell you want, if they hold a convention in January, I would bet that our normal attendance of 300 to 400 would turn into half, 50% right off the bat. Many people just aren't going to come. They're not comfortable coming in that kind of environment, even if it's legal and there's no other restrictions. Okay, so a situation where Mitch and I would put on games, we could easily get half of the people that would normally show up. With that said, it may not be viable for the convention to go on because it wouldn't cover their costs that they have to in order to make it viable for the renting space and all that kind of stuff. So that goes for conventions. That's not going to stop Mitch and I doing our games. What's going to stop us is too many people showing up, which was what happened Monday. We thought we were going to have 7 people, which was a no-go. At the last minute, one person didn't show up. But at that point, we're like, can't film with 6. That's 4 people sitting on their hands while 2 people are playing, and 3 of the 6 players are traveling from out of town, pretty far away. So, not pretty far away. Joe's couple hours round up, and Marty's 3 hours. So, can't really have people sitting on their hands and not getting their games in when they're going through the trouble of traveling and the expense and stuff like that. So that's what's going to stop us from getting any games filmed. But I don't see anything else stopping us from playing here locally. But conventions may not be a thing for those reasons I ironed out for, I'm not going to say ever, but 5 years. There's just a lot of factors that to consider. Now, with that said, we're already planning on attending all the shows for next year, assuming they have them, and we even have a room already set aside for Historicon next year. So, which you got to do that way in advance if you want to stay at the venue. So we've never stayed at the venue before, so I'm looking forward to that. But it just depends if it goes off or not. So. That's my long-winded explanation of that, but that really pretty much lays everything out. I'm long-winded, but I like to just lay it all out there for you, and you can see where we're coming from. So there's a lot of factors that are out of our control that, I want to go to shows because right now the situation I'm in is like this year. I worked half a day today because I need reasons to take days off, or I can't carry them off from year to year. I don't get paid for them. So, I need the conventions to go off. I don't want to take a day off and just come home like I did today. Even though this is all fine and good, but, it would just get to the point, it's the end of the year. If I don't take these days off, I'm going to have to walk away from them, and I don't want to do that either. So I'm going to take them off on a day that doesn't create some major chaos for myself and the other people. So, but anyhow, too bad. My last HMGS convention was Cold Wars 95. Holy cow. That was a while ago. I didn't even know about it until 2004. I did not even know about Historicon until 2004. So, my last, okay. I was a big WRG 7th edition gamer. We had 60 people in the old days. I would love to get down to Historicon again. I am 54. Yeah, I never played any WRG stuff. It's not geared for me. It's too many figures. It's too many figures for me. And I love DBA because if you do run into an asshole, you don't have to play with them for more than 50 minutes. Not you're stuck with them arguing about this and setup and all that kind of stuff. But This is the only WRG product I've played. It's probably going to be the only WRG product I'm ever going to play. I'm just my mind has been burned out by the lack of sufficient punctuation and, and bullet points in these set of rules. That doesn't mean they suck. That just means that it just they're made a lot more difficult than they should have been, and difficult. And then, you still have trouble trying to play the game right. I want to play the game right. I don't have a dog in this fight. I want to just, I want to play the game correctly, and it's very difficult to do that the way the rules are organized, not even worded, the way they're organized. The fact that nothing is repeated a second time, I think that is the biggest problem with it, you know. So, but that doesn't mean I'm going to split off and play something else. But that is, I can't imagine playing something I can't imagine learning to play DBMM, even though I probably would love DBMM. All the details and all that stuff. I just don't want to play it wrong that many times. It's very unfulfilling. So, okay, so I think we got this little horsey guy done. Let's paint this dude now, and we're going to paint. What do you say? He was all mostly white. All right, so we don't have to do white. We can use one that's off a little bit. Because that's the thing about white. You can't highlight. If you paint something white, you can't highlight it. That's your max. You're already maxed out. So you got to start a little under that. And this is pale sand. This is one of these that's always never mixed well. I think I bought this from Brookhurst Hobbies, and it'd been sitting on one of their shelves for a long time. I get it with WRG. I was involved with all that endless clarification. You're 54. Well, you're not that much older than me. You got 5 years on me, or maybe 4.5. I like complicated rules. I just don't like. I'm telling you, I'm an ASL player. I'm an old ASL player, and I never had any problem playing ASL. Had no problem finding the rules. I just, man, the way the rules are organized, man. Wow, it was really eye awakening. So, and it's just a shame because I know for a fact it turns a lot of people off. You know, a lot of people don't give it a chance. New players they'll look at the army list and they'll go, "Whoa, this looks really complicated." I'm like, dude. I'm like, the army lists are the part that's easy to understand. Oh, snap. Let's drop this little mixing ball. I don't think there's one in there. If there is, well, there'll be two, and by God, this thing can use it. Let's drop some of this airbrush Vallejo thinner. This thing's been good to me lately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should do it. Yeah, I have no problem. I've never had a problem playing ASL. And squad leader either. But I didn't play it in a tournament either. So, if we get things wrong, I don't know if you've watched any of our games, we'll get stuff wrong, but both people are playing by the same set of rules. So it's not that big of a deal. The problem is when one guy, moves his light horse 6 and the other guy only gets to move at 4, That's, I've seen games you play. I'm trying to run a game, and you notice, and a game's halfway on. These two guys are playing in one of my events, and the game is halfway completed, and you look at it, and they set up terrain wrong. Like they set up terrain, they either picked too many woods and they couldn't, or something like that. Whatever, man. It's just a game. You guys don't win anything. Both people agreed to the battlefield. I'll point out that they did it wrong and move on. So. You watch all of my games. I get it. Yeah, I mean, we really want to do things. We don't really have agendas. I know that there's some people, you've probably played with people that are like, well, in my rule, I always want my 100 Years War English to be awesome. Look, I'm interested in all the armies, okay? And I've said before, all the leaders of all these nations, they were all, by today's standards, complete assholes. So it's not like there's one guy that's that much better than anybody else. But I don't really have an agenda. I'm interested in playing all the armies. It's not like, well, I don't like these Chinese armies or whatever. It's so I'm sure you probably played with people that want to play. One is that much better than the other. I mean, I would love my Spanish kicked everybody's ass, but that's not really fair. So it's, you know, we occasionally get stuff wrong, and I guess I probably need to keep a closer eye on some people because we all make mistakes. But when you watch one of our games being filmed, I'm just there having a good time, along with everybody else. You guys are just kind of watching along. I've kind of given up the whole teach people how to play thing. It's an impossible task. You're going to get things wrong. I think it's more useful for them. Hey, here's some examples of play so you guys can get started to kind of process what the rule book is trying to say, and then you can kind of go on at it on your own pace. Because if you just focus on trying to teach people how to do the rules, you're going to leave something off. If I do a video on how to use elephants, invariably I'm going to leave something off, and it's like, oh, I can't edit my videos. So once they're out there, they're out there. All I can do is take them down. So that really doesn't benefit anybody. So yeah, it's really frustrating to not have a perfect video, but you just kind of have to get over. You just have to get over it. Just like, well, it's either that or no video at all. So. And for me, I'm more of a painter than I am a player. I mean, I'm a much better painter than I'm ever going to be a player. It's just, I'm more interested in being happy with the results of painting than I am in winning a game. It's just, I mean, I've lost hundreds of games. So, what's another one? I think I was coming up on, I think I'm really close to getting my 1000th win. Of course, I've lost 840 games. So it's like, yes, I'm positive, but, I'm a big time loser too. Hey, other guys trying to win too. So it's just not that important to me. You know, I had somebody was telling me about a battle that they had with somebody a while ago, and the way they described it is this guy was in shock when he chose to do something that the other guy wasn't expecting. Like he did something weird, and it wasn't like what he was expecting to do, and it kind of really threw him for a loop. And I'm like, I don't really, I know this is going to sound really strange. I'm not really worried about what the other person's going to do. I kind of play my own game. And I described this, it was Luke that was telling me about it. And I told Luke, I said, I kind of set up, if I have to set up first, I set up kind of balanced on both ways because you don't know where your enemy is going to be. Okay. You set up in a strong position, kind of balanced on both sides, so you can be flexible. You can alter your battle plan. I joke all the time that I don't have a battle plan, but I have tactics. I don't necessarily have a battle plan because a battle plan insinuates that, this is how I want to do it. And I don't have all the facts. I don't know what I'm going to roll for pips, that kind of stuff. So I like to set up in a strong position where I can be flexible, that I'm not going to expend a lot of pips to move my army. Okay. And then each bound try to improve my position in relation to the other army. And that's how I win. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I don't really think about it. I mean, it sounds really strange. I don't really, but I've played so much that I don't think about the things anymore. And yeah, sometimes I may not make the most optimal decisions, but I don't care. I try to improve my position every time, and I try to control the pace of the battle because most of the time I've noticed the person that wins is the person who gets the other guy to react and spends their pips reacting to what you're doing. So you improve your situation, and they are playing whack-a-mole. So that seems to me to be the best way to win the game, and you know. I don't really worry about it. I don't really look at a turn like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I think he's going to do that, so let me do this instead. That's way too reactive for me. For me, it's like I want to do my thing, and it improves my thing, and puts you in a predicament where now you may end up having to roll 3 or 4 for pips to still not get hosed instead of just a. And then when you roll a 1 or 2, you're up a creek. So, but that's what I like to say when I don't really have a. I don't really have a plan. I don't really stick to something like, well, we got to do. Well, I mean, there are some unwritten things like, okay, there's woods over here. I'm not putting my mounted over there because my mounted can't push through in that area. So, but as far as something specific, nah. I'm not a chess player person. I'm not good at thinking. Not necessarily even good. I'm not interested in thinking that far in advance. I got to do a lot of planning for work, and a lot of it just goes to shit anyways. So I don't want to bring any of my work home into my games. And yeah, planning is one of those things that I do not want to do a whole lot of. I want to kind of wing it as we go, which is why I'm not a fan of Big Battle DBA. I've played it before, and I've convinced myself I'm not going to play it again ever. I've said it before, and I'm sticking to my guns. Like, people talk me into it. I don't. I like the cooperation with other folks. I just don't like having a plan. Okay, this guy's going to be the high pip command. I'm not interested in that. I'm just, that reminds me of work too much. That reminds me of doing all that planning, and then you roll the wrong pip, and everything goes to shit, and you did all the planning for naught. So, no, that not really interested in that. It gives me a bad adult experience, bad adult experience, bad childhood experience, bad adult experience. Yeah. Do that. We drew similar conclusion to WRG seventh. When you're reacting to the enemy, you're losing. Exactly. When he's reacting to you, you're winning. Generally, I mean, you get to have those 6-1s and freak things happen, but and it feels good when you are controlling the pace of the battle. You may not win, but at least it's still one of those that, well, I didn't win, but it was a good battle. Yeah, because you controlled the pace of the battle the whole time. So and it's good that things don't go your way all the time. There's the problem. Everyone keeps their own pip roll in ours. Everyone keeps your. I assume that you're talking about Big Battle. Don Harding runs his version of Big Battle. I like that one because you play on a big board and everybody has their DBA sized army, and you roll your own pip dice. And you've got guys on your flank, other players command, and this guy's going to do this, and you do, all that kind of stuff. And then, okay, let's talk about our plan. Okay, you leave the room. All that crap that makes you basically not finish a game, I'm not interested in. It has nothing to do with having other folks on your team. I like that, and I really enjoy cheering them on. But the way it's done. So Don Hardy's Big Battle, yes. The standard one, how it is in the book, no. So, but that's fine. Other people can enjoy stuff that I don't like. That's perfectly fine. So, Big Battle. Don't invite the hyper competitive guys. Well, I would say that I don't know if we're hyper competitive. I would say that our group is very competitive. You've watched our videos. We're pretty competitive. But we're not win at all cost players. That's the difference. Because we'll frequently say, hey, why don't you do this instead? Even if it's a detriment to us. I don't care about losing any more games. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't bother me. You know, I want to keep improving other players, and it's kind of cool when you find stuff, even if it doesn't benefit you. We're winning. It's no livelihood is based on this. So, you're talking about throwing stands that lose? You mean like picking up figures and throwing them across? Wow. You can take a hammer to those people. Not the troops, the people. Wait, you're on the other side of the world. You mean that's not an American, European phenomenon? You mean there's assholes in Asia? Oh man. Oh crap. Here I go again. I got to write you guys down where you're from. I'm sorry. I thought you were okay. So there's a guy that has. He is in Malaysia, okay, and his name is Wolf something or another as well. And he's the guy that does the videos where he puts the troops on the turntable and turns them around. And he does chime in here sometimes. So I apologize. I thought you were him. Yeah. Houston. Oh yeah, there's assholes in Texas, no doubt about it. No, actually, I think Texas is a really interesting place. I don't mean that facetiously. I just think it's somewhere. It's interesting. It's its own thing. You guys like go swimming in boots and stuff. You know, you kick your boots everywhere. And I haven't been all over Texas. Houston's where I've been. I went there a couple times there for work. So, the strangest thing, though, even stranger than that, was you guys, at least at the time, still allowed smoking in restaurants, and that's like really, really weird for us here. You know, of course, it was allowed everywhere, but it's just, and that may not be the case now, but I thought that was really strange. But yeah, Texas is an interesting place. Went to a job site. I want to say I went to a job site twice, and then there was a convention that we went to, a work convention. So hopefully one day I'll get to go on that battleship, and if they fix it back up, I heard it's in bad shape. So hopefully they get that squared away. So not anymore. Okay, probably the smoking thing. Yeah, I just thought that was really weird. So we're just going to build this guy up to somewhere close to a whitish color. We're not going to take it all the way up. Then we're going to do some kind of designs in blue, and then we'll paint around those designs in white, bringing those points up. That's my tactic. I don't want to assume that I have a strategy for painting either. No, there's people like that. There's people that like strategy games. They don't like tactical games. I'm a tactical guy. I am not. You know, I play board games. I do not like games like Third Reich, Advanced Rise and Fall, Third Reich. I hated that game. The burps and the GURPS and the lerps and the no. That's not my thing. I'm a I'm a tactics guy. So not my thing. That's one of your favorites. Well, I won't hold it against you. One of my best friends, that was his favorite game, and it has a couple things I don't like about it. One of them is not nice. I don't like how it looks. Okay, so I'll take a game that maybe I don't like, but it's at least it's nice to look at while I'm waiting for it to happen. I didn't like that, and yeah, it just never connected with it. It was all seemed to be about the trying to get the two turns in a row thing. I haven't played it in frickin' since 1991 or something like that, or maybe 1990, something like that. But never really cared for it. Never really cared for it. But now something like Squad Leader or something like that. Yeah. Yep. It's just too strategic. If I was playing something like an operational scale, I could handle that as well. I don't want to do all that kind of. It almost seems like it's almost like politics. Like the kind of decisions you have to make are almost like political. I don't know. It's just not my thing. But there's lots of people that like that game, so you know. But the appeal, they'll have no problem with board games. Just I gotta like how it looks because I'm stuck looking at it for a while, you know. ASL had too many rules for me. I probably wouldn't play it now, but we used to. We used to play it. Got to be the most beautiful rule book of anything. I mean, it's full color and everything. Examples, you know. Any ACW Fire and Fury? No, I don't like American Civil War. Sorry, I don't really like American history. The way I figure it, I'm already American, and not really interested in the not that period. Just doesn't interest me. Just like some people like don't like probably ancients or medieval or whatever. They just don't really like the period. I don't really like American Civil War. Sorry. It's okay if you like it. Like I would be more likely to play American War of Independence because at least you've got Americans, but you also have British, French, Hessians, that kind of stuff. But I never really cared for them. Really cared for ACW or that period. Napoleonics, I never really played because the group of people that I've seen playing, at least locally, just seemed like they weren't having a good time. Now I've played some with Mitch and it was okay because he's a big Napoleonics fan. He's got a lot of stuff for Nap- well, we played the board game Napoleon in Europe, and he has a lot of stuff for Napoleon's battles. All this stuff for Napoleon's battles. So GBACW, Great Battles, American Civil War. Okay, that's probably a series. Paul, how are you? Good day. You hate World War One. Well, so did the people that fought in it. I don't like trench warfare. I like World War One naval. That's a good one. You don't have all that radar and stuff that keeps things from happening. I like World War Two, but especially in the Mediterranean. But World War One naval keeps that stuff from happening. World War Two naval has all those cool camouflage schemes, especially the British ships. I'm sorry, Commonwealth ships. World War One trench warfare. Yeah, that's. I haven't had a chance to play. What's that one that the guys that do the pirate game do? The guys that do what's it called? It's called the 28 millimeter pirate game. Hell, I know the people that make it. I just don't remember what it's called. Anyways, they came out with a something in iron, blood and iron, or something like that. I haven't had a chance to play that one, but yeah, trench warfare. That's not my kind of thing. But blood and valor. There you go. Blood and valor. Black powder. No, no, I never got into the period. But I'll tell you one thing. Last weekend, I went to a couple of battle sites here in Brunswick, Georgia. That I love the Renaissance period. Love the Renaissance period. I love anything the 1500s stuff. You start getting the 1600s, not as much, and 1700s just whatever. But I went to a couple battle sites that happened in War of Austrian Succession. So we're talking early to mid 1700s, and and it was really interesting. And yes, I did go and saw who makes figures in case I wanted to do some Spanish and English for that. But I'll never get around to painting that stuff. I know that they make a DBA HX 3.0 that one of the DBA guys came up with that period, but I do like to look at I'd be more interested in painting the figures than I would be to playing the game. I've realized like I can't do it all. I don't have the time and energy to do all of it. So what are we going to focus on? And that's kind of what I do. So that's why I can't get involved in other scales. I can't do stuff in 28 millimeter. It just takes too long to paint. Forget cost. It just takes too long to paint. I'm never going to get anywhere. So But I did look into that. That's when you know you're a painter. Like, ooh, who makes figures for that? You know, you watch something say Russia-Japanese War, just pull something out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, who makes figures for Russia-Japanese War? Okay, cool. And you start looking at the figures and, oh, who makes them? Yeah, that kind of stuff. You know, I like that, all that stuff. But yeah, if I had to pay an ACW, and I don't, but if I had to pay an ACW, I'd track down all those figures that were made by my favorite sculptor of all time, Mr. Dave Alsop. I know he made some of the old Glory figures, and I'd be tempted to do that, but no, because I don't. I don't want to play other systems that are going to take a long time to play or have a lot of figures or, you know, the being done in an hour and the pip mechanism choice of what you get to do is really a winning combination for me at least. So I have played some DBN and been happy with that, but I didn't have any of the figures for it. One of Mitch's buddies is supposed to retire here in Florida and probably play with us frequently. He's big into DBN and has like all the he's got all the major armies. I think he's built. He's been painting that, so that'll be we'll welcome playing that for sure. So yes, Old Glory did musket miniature and stone mount. I did okay. Peter Pig miniatures makes the bit ACW. I like the Peter Pig miniatures. I like them, even though they've got a little bit of the Habsburg chin, but I like them. I like them a lot. My samurai are Peter Pig. They're the only army that I purchased. I saw them at Historicom when they just come out in 2009, I think, and I turned around and finished the army. Bam! It was like I didn't get sidetracked or anything. Of course, it's not 3.0 compatible, so I still have to go back and fix it at some point. But I lovely figures, lovely figure variety, etc. I really like them. I wish they made more stuff that we gamed in them, but yeah, I like Peter Pig a lot. Definitely, definitely. You need to make an orc DBA army. Oh no, no, you mistake me for somebody who likes fantasy. You just want to hear me make the orc voices. Well, I would be happy to do that. That would be the appeal for me. Uh, Peter Pig does us in bummers, and how they're the only company I don't know what that means. Peter Pig does us in bummers. Does maybe US in bummers? Oh, bummers is a forage cap. Okay, a foraging cap. I like the Peter Pig figures a lot. They have good troop variety, and you know, I find them hard to use for some things. Like for instance, they make a really nice German range, like you know the Alemanni Germans. Okay, like the guys who would fight the Imperial Romans. However, Germans were known for being very large people compared to Romans, like stature wise. So you can't really use the Peter Pig guys and use like say Old Glory Romans because the proportions would be backwards. But yeah, that's not a huge thing for me. But I do like their style, and even though a lot of them have kind of a big chin. But you know, I think every figure manufacturer has their own quirks. Okay, that is that the only quirk that the Peter Pig figures have? Yeah, probably. Everything else is great. They don't have figures in dumb poses, which you know many figure manufacturers have. Maybe not every single one of their figures, but many of their figures seem to be, in my opinion, poses I don't really care for. Essex being one of them, and Corvus Belli being the other one. Now, do all their figures suck? No, but they have a high proportion of figures and poses that I don't really care for. But that's okay. That's you know, I like to mix and match them in different things. Museum also has Habsburg chin guys and also really disproportionate size. Some of their medievals are probably would be even compatible with Peter Pig, and some of them are almost 20 millimeter scale. So, it's hit or miss. I don't have a problem with mixing different figures on a stand. And okay, so one guy's bigger than the other. My Irish have one guy that's huge. He's a museum guy. I forgot I had a name for him. I forgot what it was. It was not Andre the Giant. It was something. It wasn't Andrew the Giant. It was something the Giant that I named him. And he was, he's on the same stand with the other figures, and he's significantly bigger, and he works out just fine. As a matter of fact, I will go grab him and show him to you. I get to look at my Irish again. Currently, my favorite army, and a big part of it is that I don't know anyone who has them, and they're not the mightiest of armies either. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we can find out what this guy is. I had a name for him. I have to remember what that is. I've mentioned it before. I just don't know. Where is he? Where is he? Gee whiz. He's on this tray somewhere. Did he walk away? There he is. I thought he was in the middle. That's why. He's not. He's a guy on the end. He's on an auxilia stand. Let's show you here. I love doing stuff like this. This I detest having a pre-made army pack. I want to put all the pieces together, and I don't care that it costs more. I think this is a huge fun part of it for me. So let's get these guys where they're a little closer. And okay. So we have, whoops, tectonic shift here. Okay. All right. We have an old Mike's Models guy. We have a current Essex guy. And we got this guy, which he's from Museum. And he is significantly larger. And I think he looks just fine. I mean, some guys are bigger than others. He eats most of the porridge, you know? And, and I'd say it does most of the drinking, but it is an Irish army, so it doesn't really narrow that down. Yeah, that's another appeal of them. I get to have Irish whiskey when I play them. Not that I really drink that much, but that's just part of the experience, you know? Oh man, let me go back here. Let me go back. Bummers is a forage cap. I am Union Army. Okay. As a reenactor, I mean. Oh, okay. Got it. I find myself looking at Battletech again these days. Yeah, I sold all mine around 2002. The first things I sold on eBay were those. I have a lot of Peter Pig World War One, World War Two figures. Bummer, not bummers. Sorry. It is handy for liberating apples as it can act as a small bag too. Interesting. Peter Pig has great personality figures. They do. They really do. Falcons had great moving look. Some Falcon figures are really good, and some of them are like, nah. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't use them in army. They just disappeared off the face of the earth. They got bought up by Kai Weaver, and I think Kai put some. I don't know all the details. I know that he lives in Virginia, and he actually came to one of our shows here in Florida. And I was fortunate enough, had the foresight to buy a one pack of all the Arabs. He had some Arabs I'd never seen before, and I'm glad that I did that because they've just disappeared off the face of the earth. And I think they were new sculpts. I don't know how exactly he went about getting them sculpted or what have you, but I think he had some health issues, either himself or someone in his family, and just kind of had to step back from it. But that's just what I gather. I mean, I don't. Well, I follow him on Facebook, but I think he hasn't posted in a long time, so hopefully he's okay. The newest figures have lost the big chins, but they still have a few guys with their mouths open singing, oh. I know exactly what you mean. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Um, cool. How are you doing the bases up to the feet? How am I doing the bases up to the feet? What thickness Litko bases? So I'm doing 3 millimeter thick bases. I like the thicker bases because the thicker bases gives me a chance that I will actually grab the figures by the base. If they're thinner than this, then there's no chance I'm going to end up grabbing them by the figures, and they'll eventually get scuffed up, and the paint will, I guess, eventually wear out, you know. But uh, so I use the 3 millimeter. The reason I came across Litco is I had never done ancients and medieval stuff until I did DBA, and the show I went to that had bases happened to have Litco, and they had magnetic bottom ones, so I bought them separately, and the rest is history. It wasn't that I shopped around and I found the Litco were the best ones of everything available. Well, I do now, but let's zoom in on that guy. There we go. And as far as bases up to the feet, I use I've got a basing video on here on this YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's maybe done last year, and it shows exactly how I do the basing. But I use this stuff that they used to have in Michael's. It's a craft store, and they don't carry it anymore. But it's this Liquitex stuff right here. I used to make, on the first ones I did, mix some PVA or Elmer's glue with sand, and then applied it and let it dry. But this really does the same thing, and it saves me a step. This runs for about $16, and I can do probably how many ounces is this? 8 ounces, 237 milliliters. It's a lot. You can do probably 15 armies with this. And I just apply it. It dries semi-clear, and then in about 6 hours, 8 hours, and you can paint it. And boom, done. So I want the actual stand the figure is on to disappear into here, but I like a thicker base. I know some guy made it. I posted some pictures, and he was like, your bases suck, they're too thick." Okay, well, I'm not telling you got to make them thick. I'm just telling you I like them thick because it's a playing piece that represents something. I don't care for the thin bases. I don't care for the metal bases. Use what you want, man. You know, but that's how I came across Litko. It was just purely by chance. He's not paying me or anything, and I don't want him to pay me, or I don't want sponsors. I like to use my products, tell you how I find them, tell you what I think about them, and if they start sucking, I'll tell you. I mean, it's I'll be honest with you. I don't like sales weasels at work, and I don't do that kind of stuff on my own time either. So far they've been good. But I like the thicker stand. I like the 3 millimeter stands. At that time, that was the only thickness they have. Now I think they have 1.5 millimeters, so half the thickness. I guess that would be okay too. The problem is they actually cost more, and I would have to rebase all of my stands so that they would all be consistent. And I don't want to do that, and I'm happy with these. But some people like thinner stands. That's good. Hey, more options are good for people. The consumer wins when you have more options. So monopoly's bad. Competition good. So more options is good always. So what else did I miss? I'm doing 3 millimeter Litco and using plaster to bring the level up and then flocking it. That should work. For up to feet, you use medium. How I use Liquitex. I use spackle. Should work fine. Yeah. Litco rant. Uh-oh. Litco are my favorite bases, but they recently changed their postage charges. $30 worth of bases, 95. Okay, postage rant. You ready? I've never ordered anything from Australia. Okay. I've ordered. The UK is what I call the land of toys. Everything I want seems to be made from UK. So there's probably somebody in UK crying that they do 1/2400 and 1/25th scale miniatures, and they all come from GHQ, which is the US, and they're getting raped. But generally, everything I want comes from the UK. Pre-COVID, everybody I ordered from the UK, I would get it within a week, almost to the exact day. I got better service from the UK than US suppliers, and I'm in the US. Shipping about the same, honestly. Really no difference. Now, if I want to get something from Italy, like Legio Heroica, forget it. It's just catastrophically expensive. Or ordering directly from Merlotime, just really, really expensive. I would be better off going on eBay and trying to get someone that already had it or was trying to get rid of it to send it to me, because it was catastrophic shipping from anywhere else in Europe. I assume Australia is the same way, but US, UK shipping's okay here, you know. So um, yeah, $95 postage. Yeah, it's a deal breaker. And I don't believe in, waiting until you have $400 worth of stuff to place an order, because with as much stuff that I have, and I have a lot of things to paint. I don't have a lot of things to paint from a standpoint of a gamer. You know how those people are that have a lead mountain. Yes, I kind of have a lead mountain, but I really haven't paid much for it. They've been stuff that I've gotten at like I call flea markets at shows or something like that. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to spend a lot of money on stuff and then not use it. So the way you avoid that is I don't order something until I absolutely have to have it to finish out an army that I have figures for. And basing would go into that. I'm not going to order $300 worth of bases because I'll never get to that amount. So yeah, a $95 shipment and shipping would kill it for me too. So you just got a package from Essex Miniatures to New York State in 6 minutes, in 6 days. Oh, you're in New York State. Okay, so you probably get really fast shipment from Kurisan because he's up there too. Really? Rolling the dice from Italy if packages arrive? Well, I fortunately have never lost a package, but I've also never ordered from Italy. I just see what they're. It's just too much. I mean, and the thing is I've already got most of the armies from that I want, most of the figures that I want to paint for most of the armies. So it's not like somebody asked me this recently. Hey, I saw your Burgundians. I really like them. Who would you use for figures? And I flat out told them if I didn't have any figures for the Burgundians, I would have used Legio Heroica. They're freaking gorgeous figures. They look even better than in my opinion, they look even better than the figures from Merloton that are gorgeous. But the Legio Heroica ones are really, really nice. But I already had all the army. I didn't want to, you know, you kind of have to use, I think you kind of have to use what you already have. You can't just play this game of, hey, I'm going to keep up with the Joneses. You start working on an army, you're almost completely done. Somebody goes and comes out with these new figures for, Ottomans, and they look much better. True story, this happened to me. You can't just throw away everything you have and then go to the newest figure, because as soon as you're done with that, somebody could do it again. You just kind of have to be happy with what you have and go with that. Now, I actually get a thrill out of painting figures. Some of you guys might know this, that have been around a long time that don't get any love. Because even second tier figures paint up really well. Okay, what are your second tier figures? Your irregulars, those figures that people don't, they've been on there forever and nobody really talks about having them. You don't see pictures of people painting them all the time. Almost all figures can paint up pretty well. So I actually get a kick out of painting some of the second tier figures, not third tier, no third tier, but second tier figures, and making them, and give them their little place in the sun. I enjoy it, because you can't just throw everything you have, because nobody's going to want to buy your stuff because there's new figures available. You just got to be happy with what you have, and then just, maybe buy occasionally 1 or 2 packs of some of the newer figures to kind of mix in. So I don't really mind adding figure here or adding a figure there especially like command stands. Like, oh, they made a figure for Charles the Bold. Well, let me get that guy and maybe an attendant or something like that. That kind of thing. So, but that's just me. I mean, I don't want to play keeping up with the Joneses. That's spending a lot of money and never being happy. So, yeah, I didn't know that ordering from Italy was just a roll of the dice. I didn't know that. I know it's a roll the bank account. It's just way too expensive. Way too expensive. But okay, so I think we read about this guy. He had blue pants. Let's find out about this guy. Actually, I'm going to put my Irish away before they fall down. Yeah, I love my Irish Army. My favorite one. My favorite one right now.